I had a hobby too. Mine happened to be guns and ballistics, and I studied guns and ballistics as much as I could, and I wrote an article about high velocity.
So out of all my years working at Weatherby, the last 5 have been some of the most exciting. Working with Adam, with him running the company.
And to think that I get the opportunity of carrying on my grandfather's legacy 75 years later here in Sheridan, Wyoming, I mean, it really is a dream come true.
Oh, I'm home. Thank God I'm home.
On Our Mark, the Weatherby Podcast.
All right, on our Mark, the Weatherby Podcast, we've got some, 3 special guests today, actually. So I'm Luke Torkelson, the host of On Our Mark, and we have a secondary host today, Tyler Grethen, our new marketing manager. Welcome, Tyler.
This is my first On Your Mark podcast, so excited to be here.
Happy to have you on. And then across the table from Tyler, we've got some newfound friends to Weatherby, the MTN Tough Fitness Lab guys, Dustin and Jimmy. And you're going to have to say your last name for me, Dustin.
It's Diefendorfer.
Diefendorfer. So we got Dustin Diefendorfer and Luke Torkelson's, the 2 best, worst last names in the industry right now.
Yes. We can all agree on that.
Yeah. Oh, man. Jimmy, what's your last name?
Alsabrook.
Alsabrook. That's up there, too. That's good.
It's a good one.
It's a pretty good one.
So we did something pretty neat, I think, between our 2 companies. So I guess several months back up in Bozeman, there was a wild sheep event, and Adam, I think there was a pre-existing relationship, but Adam talked to, is it you or Weston? Weston, you're kind of, he's like your marketing.
He's a head of business development, yeah.
Who's awesome. And so Adam and Weston are talking, and we get back, and Adam's like, we need to do something with the Mountain Tough guys, because like what we do with our backcountry rifles and ultra lightweight rifles and Western hunting, like just dovetails so well into what you guys do. And so you guys were generous and reached out to us and then said, hey, let's get some of your employees set up on our program. And we started doing it. I've started doing it. And I want to talk about that more later, but it's been really, really cool. And I don't know this story actually yet because I didn't listen to the podcast that Adam did with you guys.
Yep.
But I'm really curious, and I want to know, and I want to share with our fans and our listeners about why did you guys get into doing what you're doing? And I guess first of all, what is it that you're doing?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's been a fun journey. We're 6 years in now, so we started in 2016. And the primary journey, like since day one, has been to treat the backcountry hunter athlete like an athlete. And no one in 2016, when we founded MTN Tough, was handling the backcountry hunter with that degree of specialization. So we wanted to take it to a level like any other pro sports organization would, where you're taking care of that athlete and training them based on their mission. And the hunter mission is really unique. There's hardly any other athlete like that in the world. And one thing that makes them incredibly unique is the heavy packs, especially a backcountry hunter that's going to have
especially a successful
backcountry hunter.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no other athlete in the world that has to deal with a pack that heavy coming out that far. And the other thing that makes them different than any other athlete is the longevity of the event. So like a 5 to 7 to 10 to 12 day backcountry hunt is a whole different animal compared to like a football game or any other professional sport.
You know, even like a marathon,
Even a marathon.
A few hours.
Yeah.
Then you kind of translate that over 1, 2, 3 years too, like as you get into your backcountry career, if you must. Yeah.
So what were you doing in 2016 where you're like, you know what, we gotta do this for these guys?
So the whole origin story of MTN Tough is pretty wild. I'll try to sum it up shortly because it's a long one.
Okay.
I was a Montana kid, lifelong backcountry hunter with my dad, hunting mostly archery elk all over the West, and that was our passion. My dad shot in the bow shop every single day at noon for his lunch break.
Nice.
For about 5 years, and we would just kind of rally around the West hunting elk. And then I got a business degree from Montana State, and I kind of was following that trajectory of the world where like you get a degree in business and then you work for some sort of corporation. Was kind of that path, and I did that, and it was pretty miserable right away with the office environment, right? And not being like, I wasn't getting my cup filled by like being active and doing something physical. So my wife and I both quit our jobs, and we went and worked in Africa, in Uganda. And we were running an orphanage over there, and like my cup was being filled. It was like 24 hours of adventure. It was very physical. Yeah. Like you never knew what was next, and then extremely rewarding. And we thought we were going to do that forever. We built a little guest house in Uganda, and we were helping 240 kids. And then my wife got pregnant with our first daughter. And we didn't want her to be delivered in Uganda because of the health and safety risks.
Sure.
And so we came home, and she was born in Bozeman. And when she came out as a real human, at that moment, we didn't really want to jump back and go to Africa with a newborn baby. But both of those kind of like polar opposite extremes led me to know that like whatever I was going to do, because I didn't have a plan B, I was going to do something I was passionate about.
Right.
That like kept me on my feet and kept me helping people. And I had been watching the backcountry hunting scene for a long time and always been a gym rat. And I knew that no one really had handled this fitness realm to the specialization that I'd like to see it handled in. And so that was like the founding belief. And Jimmy and I had been training together for a long time and friends for a long time. And Jimmy was kind of the king trainer in Bozeman. If you were going to like do an Everest expedition or something like that in Bozeman, like Jimmy was the guy you went to see.
You're the guy.
He's the guy.
I was the guy.
Yeah.
So that's how we started in 2016, was putting a team together and chasing this mission. And we added a lot of military DNA to that founding team as well, because we knew backcountry hunters, what they really need is they need to be mentally tough. And so we knew to train them physically was going to be key, but if we could also train them mentally, they were going to be successful. It's been a wild journey. And so the Mountain Tough now, what it is, you know, Mountain Tough Plus is a native app, just like Onyx. Anyone can get on their phone, and there's about 15,000 hunters nationally. Not only hunters, there's a lot of veterans and active duty military, special operations, and then just general outdoor enthusiasts that are using it to train every day, whether they have gear or no gear.
It's awesome.
So it started as like a gym, in-person physical training, right?
Yeah, it was baby steps for sure. It started with like 3 guys in the park behind my house.
Like, hey, me and Jimmy are gonna work out. You want to join us?
Yeah. We've done pull-ups on monkey bars, and then we went into a gym where they were running physical therapy and started this like Mountain Tough class philosophy in Bozeman, and that just exploded. And then we took the philosophy online, and that kind of exploded. And then we went into our own building of our own, and just kind of kept growing and growing. But our passion has always really been about like, how can we study and do the research, just like you guys are doing here, on what works and what doesn't work, and how to push this human performance. How do we study that and test it on real people, and then how do we spread it to the globe through the technology?
Yeah, we're trying to push ballistic performance to the max, and you guys are doing human performance. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, we got the luxury of getting to test that out on a lot of, you know, friends and clients and extreme hunters that come into the gym, and, you know, we'll put them, you know, let's say on a new 10-week program, and we get to really test it out, you know, and figure out what's working and what doesn't work. So, and then we get the feedback from them after they use, you know, their new strength and tools and cardio up in the mountains, and we get a lot of feedback from them, and it's been fantastic. on getting this perfected for us.
I actually started doing this when I had some downtime on a hunt in Kyrgyzstan. I got stuck in a hotel. That'll be a whole nother podcast. We'll talk about that later. But it was right after we kind of set up this partnership with you guys, and I'm there, kind of have nothing else to do. I'm like, I'm gonna start this, and I didn't really know what to expect other than I had some friends that had done it, and I was excited. I was a college athlete. I played soccer in college. I've always been more on the endurance side, not so much like a weight lifter, you know. And so I kind of avoided gym. So just over time, because the football guys they'd like push out the soccer guys, you know. And man, I started, and it's hard in a good way. And I had a friend that kind of helped me get started in Kyrgyzstan, and I could, like, after doing like 3 different exercises, I started on the preseason, and holy cow, like just after 3, it's like a switch. It's like, holy moly, I've been running all summer long. I feel good. My cardio's strong, but there's exercises that you guys have built in that are like so sneaky.
Yeah. That's what I thought. It really exposed some of your weaknesses.
No,
like if you're a cardio guy and you need to build strength, every workout has kind of a combination. It's not just a total strength or total cardio.
Right.
It incorporates a little bit of everything. So that's what I kind of found, where I like to lift weights, and I found on some of the cardio stuff I was definitely struggling. So
Yeah,
we try to tailor, both sides of that. So, we want to work on strength, but also cardio. And so it'll kind of attack your weaknesses for sure.
And that's what we wanted for sure. Because we want you to be functionally fit for the mountains. And so the endurance will go a long ways, but you also need tons of muscle endurance. And then
and like weird muscles. I mean, that's probably not the right, I'm not a...
Well, it's like all the muscles in your hips that you're noticing. Now you're telling me how it feels more steady going down the stairs.
Absolutely. Yeah. You've got a heavy pack on. Even going in, you're typically going up. And so you're just climbing and climbing. Your legs start burning. And you put so much time into like your rifle and your scope set up and getting your dope right and figuring out what food to take into the backcountry. And a lot of people just like gloss over the whole prep side of getting your body ready. Being more focused on that this season. Like I'm pumped. Like I feel pretty good going into it thanks to you guys.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, you're going to go in sharp.
I just moved from the Midwest, so seeing this as a tool for someone who doesn't always get to be in the mountains where you can hike a lot, I could see where that would be really helpful if you're not from a Western state, because I just moved out here, and it's one of those things where, I'm starting to do these workouts, and I feel a lot more confident, and I could see what I was missing when I was back home. So
you didn't have the luxury of heading to the nearest mountain range and
go for a hike.
Going hiking.
Right. I learned that I need to do a lot more lunges.
Man, the lunges.
Always do more
We found that out today with Tyler.
We found that today.
Yeah. So before we did this podcast, we did a workout for about an hour, and we finished with 10 minutes of lunges nonstop with weighted packs.
Right.
That hurt.
That hurt. I bet. Yeah.
Nonstop 10 minutes.
After the workout.
After the workout.
Right. And that's how we like to design all of our programs, because, you work really hard getting back in the backcountry to where the animals are.
Right.
You're tired, and now you're successful, and you put a lot of weight in your pack. Well, you got to be able to make it out.
Yeah.
And you just worked your tail off getting back in there. So you're not
gassed.
fresh.
You're
not.
gassed.
Yeah, you're gassed already. And that's the kind of the theory behind those workouts that we've been doing, is getting kind of tanked and then learning how to push through that mentally, being exhausted and tired, but also working on certain muscle groups to protect your knees and your back and all that stuff with the load on you. So
yeah, that way you'll feel good on like day 3 of your hunt, day 4 of your hunt, day 5 of your hunt. We don't want you being smoked on day 3. That's why
one.
Yeah,
or
one.
Yeah.
That's why our workouts we want them to feel hard in the gym so that you feel like it's kind of easy in the mountain, so that we're like pushing that mental barrier at home, so then the mountain can feel a lot easier, because we know we can't control all those environments with the weather and the high elevation out there. So we have to push it a couple notches up while you're training so that you're ready once you get in the hills.
One of the things I thought was interesting, like I said, I started on the preseason training program, but in each exercise, or it's kind of like by like week 1, day 1, it would say, like, if you're more of a beginner, like, do this instead of this, but target to work up to like more reps or more weight. And I thought that was really unique, because like I jumped into it and it hurt. Like, it hurt a little the first time in a good way, but I'm like, golly, this is tough. But the results were so fast. I'm like, golly, this is I want to stick with this.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
It's awesome. Yeah, we see a lot of a lot of hunters, especially in the recent couple of years, will train for hunting in a variety of different ways.
Right.
So like a lot of them are still gonna hit the gym and squat and deadlift, like the crowd that's used to hitting the weights.
Right.
And then the cardio guys a lot of times will hit the stair climber,
Right.
or the elliptical, or they'll just run a lot.
Yeah, or go ruck.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so both options, they're missing kind of like building those 6 pillars of fitness. So they're not working on like stabilization and neuro recruitment of like getting different muscles to fire properly. And so like to be a true like functional athlete, you can't be good at just one thing. Sure. And a lot of like what a hunter needs is so much like single leg work, asymmetrical work, which a lot of guys will neglect in the gym, where like the barbell's always balanced in the gym, the weight's equal on both sides. But in the real world, that's like rarely ever the case at all.
Yeah.
You get a elk down and you got a awkward, 1/4 and try to put a head on there too, and it's like you're tilted funny, and you're going through deadfall, and it's weird, and your legs are burning, and you're like, why am I here?
Type 2 fun at that point.
Right.
Yeah, nothing's ever balanced in the real world for sure.
And then we in our gym and a lot of our programming, we like to use squats and deads to build a good base, supportive strength throughout the legs and the posterior chain and anterior chain. But utilizing the pack the way we do in a lot of our training gets all those, like you were saying, those little smaller muscle groups, and might even find some imbalances in your body that you need to address by doing those style of workouts. So
Might.
It will. Yeah, you noticed that. Yeah, it definitely will.
You guys have a ton of different workouts too, so you guys kind of have like a seasonality, or like a where you're at within the season to gear up. So like maybe it's off season, post season. Maybe walk us through some of that a little bit on how that goes into a strategy for planning for a hunt.
You bet. Yeah. So what we found right away is that backcountry hunters, to be truly successful for the long term, like one of our big goals is like, if you're hunting at 30, we want you hunting at 40. If you're hunting at 40, we want you hunting at 50. If you're hunting at 50, we want you feeling really good at 60. And to be successful at that approach, you can't just train in August to hunt in September and then lay around all winter, which was kind of a common trend in the backcountry hunting industry for a long time. It's gotten a lot better, but for a long time, like in the Rocky Mountain West, it was like train really hard July and August, hunt September, and then kind of hang out through the winter, and then they would have to bounce off of that couch every year, and bouncing off the couch gets harder every year. So as you get older, it gets worse and worse and worse.
The older you get, the harder that becomes.
I've been guilty of that for a couple. I'm 4.5 years into being in Wyoming, and like the first winter, like it was hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not doing anything out there. It's nasty.
-20. Yeah.
Kidding me? And so you kind of fluff up a little bit in the winter, and it's not.
Yeah.
Then you're like starting from zero almost.
Yep. Yeah, and that creates a lot of issues. It creates a lot of injuries when people try to bounce back into that training season again. And so what we want Mountain Tough athletes to feel like is we call it always ready. We want them to be always ready all the time, so that like if your wife in February asks you to go run a 10K with her, you're ready. It's not like, oh, I wish I had a month or two to train up for that. And so then when you come to like a specialized event, like an ibex hunt or something, you need to ramp up that training. You're just ramping it up like 20%, but you're not ramping it up 80%.
Right.
And that keeps people really healthy. And plus they're ready for like their family, they're ready for their job, and they're ready for a hunt. They're ready to help like a buddy who calls and say, hey, can you come help me pack out this bull? They're kind of ready for that all the time. And to do that, we just need them consistently training all year round rather than just the month before season. Right. And all the professional sporting teams have known this for a long time. It's like in-season training, pre-season training, post-season training, and then you'll have some sort of like spring training camp. And so we applied that same methodology to the hunter. Like, let's take care of these guys all year, but let's take care of them based on what they need to be working on at different times of the year. And it all revolves around, for us, it all revolves around like September, October is game time.
Right.
And we're getting you ready for that. But then we're going to take care of you the rest of the year based on what's going on.
But you guys have in-season training too, because you don't want to forget about like get to the hunt and then be like, oh, I'm hunting the next 2 months. So I can't just take off for 2 months because again, that's kind of goes with your guys' system of always ready. So,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In-season has been cool.
Yeah, that was good. That's a good program.
Yeah, because that one we saw there's different hunters depending on job and family responsibilities. So some guys are going to be like, I'm going to spend 120 days in the hills this fall. And then some are like, I'm going to spend 14. That's all I got. But what we knew is like we needed to keep them physically active regardless of that situation. But what we needed to do was really keep them strong without them being sore on the weekends when they were hunting. So most hunters that are hunting quite a bit will lose a ton of muscle and get pretty lean because they're hiking all the time. Mm-hmm. And then they'll go into the winter season like feeling pretty weak. And so we wanted a program that kept them strong even though they were hunting all the time and without being sore every time they went hunting. And that one's been really cool.
So I got a question for you. So say like average guy, just average Joe, he wants to get into the program. Like where's the best place to start? You've got a lot of options now in the app. Like you can kind of take your own path.
Right. We have kind of like a building block system going on where, if you're not too sure about weight training and you're a little nervous about going to the gym, we do have a program that's called the Foundation Program, which we've been really happy with. And that kind of gets you excited about lifting, and if you've been a lifter in the past, but you've been off for a couple of years, this kind of gets you rolling again. Or if you're brand new at weightlifting, those get you going because a lot of those programs can be pretty intimidating. And so this is kind of like a good stepping stone into, more advanced programs or you can get back in the gym or, if it's working for you good, you could keep doing the foundation over and over if you wanted to.
Right.
It's built in a way that where you can just make it harder as you want to make it.
Sure.
Or you can make it as easy as you want to make it if you're just starting off.
What do you need? Like if maybe a gym isn't an option for somebody, what do you need at home to be able to really do this well?
Well, we have other programs here, just body weight programs. So you got, something that you could do in your living room with just body weight. We have programs where it just consists of just a kettlebell or just a pack. And the foundation one, we did actually use some weights in there, and we gave you options where you could use a kettlebell or a dumbbell and maybe something to step up on, things like that. So very minimal gear.
The foundation program has been awesome in terms of we found out that there is a large population that has not trained in a couple years or is a little intimidated about the idea of training. So foundation kind of like takes all those inhibitions away. It's like, hey, let's do this together. So it's a coach program, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because you hit play in the app, and we're coaching you at home and 2 athletes in the gym right alongside of us.
Like it's in real time.
It's almost real time.
Okay.
Yeah, it feels live. It is pre-recorded.
Sure.
But
But like the whole, if it's a 30-minute exercise, the video's 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're with us the whole
Gotcha.
time.
Right. Yeah.
All you have to do is hit play once, and then we're going to coach you through the whole thing. And it is very simple in terms of the gear you need. So we're using 2 20-pound dumbbells, which most people have in their garage or basement. And then we're just using our Yeti coolers for a step up. And
Perfect.
then pretty simple.
Yeah, pretty simple. Yeah, so you don't have to go out and buy a whole bunch of equipment. You know, it makes it easy.
Yeah,
to get started.
Listening to those videos too, you're going to get tips because you're coaching the athletes in there, so you can really focus on what you need to work on and angles and stuff
Right.
instead of just looking at a list of 10 things you got to do. You actually understand why you're doing it too.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
try to point
yeah.
out on our athletes on, you know, most common
Mistakes or
mistakes
something.
that we would see, and most common, you know, improper movements that we usually find out. We try to, you know, think about someone at home that's brand new and try to point out those key movement patterns. So, and try to coach them through squatting right or deadlifting right or doing a push-up right.
Yep.
I've never been real good at like just going to the gym and be like, I'm gonna do like 3 reps, 4 sets, and like then there's a squirrel over there and I get distracted and you know.
Yeah.
But like the way yours set up, the way I understand it is like you've got a specific workout program like the IBEX, like that workout. And it's the same each time, but it's also not the same each time because you push yourself to do it faster or harder. And so, yeah, there's like prescribed reps and like, but it's like on the IBEX, it's like do it to 100 cals or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that could mean you do it at a much faster or much slower pace. So as you progress, you do them faster and harder, right?
Yeah.
So like you're measuring your time instead of like, oh, I'm just putting up a little more weight. You're doing more weight, more effort, more everything. Like
Yeah.
I felt more engaged in that than I had even when I had like a, you know, trainer doing college athletics. Like it was, I don't know. I just really like it.
I think the set stuff, I think I said this earlier, but sometimes when I'm in the gym, I avoid the things I don't want to do. So like having a set workout really focuses you and makes sure that you're getting everything that you need. So again,
You're just going to skip leg day again?
I'm gonna skip the lunges. Maybe not the whole leg day, but the lunges. So it's good. It was good though. It made me do something that was outside of my comfort zone,
Right.
without me just saying, maybe I don't feel like doing this today. But it's like, no, it's on there, and I can check it off and say that I accomplished this. And then you guys were saying building on getting better. So if you record that, you'll know 2 months from now when you do that same workout that you got better.
That's
Yeah.
a big part.
It's
yeah.
very
You can see it.
rewarding.
Yeah, you
when
can
do
see
that.
the results.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool now because the community is so like engaged and accountable to each other, and so some of those like famous workouts inside of our programs, the infamous workouts, some of them,
Yeah.
you'll see the comments like
The 22s?
the 22s.
Oh my gosh.
There's been like around 10,000 people that have gone through that workout. And so like people will be at events like, hey, how'd you do on the 22s? And like, what's your time? But what people seeing, like, it always feels hard. But when someone goes from like 28 minutes down to like 22 minutes, like that realization that they are like a better athlete is so cool just to see like that fire that it lights under them.
Yeah.
You read through the 22s, you're like, oh, that doesn't look that bad.
Yeah.
It looks
20 and
so
2.
simple. Yeah.
All right.
That one is awesome.
Is that so? Which one, like, is that your biggest like benchmark? Like, you know, if you're trying to figure out who's got their stuff, and you're like, how do you do on the 22s? Like, what's your go-to like?
Well, we have a bunch of
Hardcore
them
one.
nowadays.
We have a bunch,
That
but
was definitely
that's-
our oldest one.
yeah.
And that's our oldest one, and it's held up to the test of time for sure because, you know, we have a lot of other programs like that where there's a benchmark and you kind of see your improvements over time. But that was, you know, we've been with that one for a while, and it's just really fun to do. And what you were saying there earlier, I love seeing someone do it, and it took them, you know, 52 minutes. And then 2 months later, they get it down to 37 or 38 minutes. And that's just a great feeling to know that you're 20 minutes faster than you were just 2 months before.
And from like a community standpoint, you can like actually comment in the app on a workout. So you don't just have to see someone at a show and be like, hey, how'd you do? You can actually interact on the app with other people from, like, if you're from Missouri, you can interact with someone from Montana.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we're seeing guys and gals meet up now. So they'll be like, hey, I'm in Rapid City. I'm doing Mountain Tough. Who else is in the area? And then they'll start,
Awesome.
You'll see groups of like 4 or 5 meeting up at different gyms in town or like different parks and stuff like that. A lot of companies, they'll meet up like at corporate headquarters. It's pretty sweet. Because that community part, like you guys saw today, like just a couple other peers doing it together is a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, we did it out front of our building here. So there's a couple people that came in our showroom while we were doing it today, and I was like, only 365 more days till next year's hunting season starts. They probably thought we were ridiculous. But yeah, it is cool because you could just see, like, I see Tyler, he's almost a lap in front of me. I'm like, oh, how is he going so fast?
Well, and then we threw, when we were up at your guys' place, like, what if we go and like challenge Stone Glacier team and Onyx team? That'd be kind of a fun little summit to do
we
at your
gotta
guys'.
do that.
Yeah, that would be
Because
fun.
you guys
That'd be a
are
blast.
you're in a current spot that's next to Stone Glacier's old building
Yep.
in Bozeman, and
Yep.
then you're building a new place, right?
Yeah, we were neighbors with Stone Glacier for about 2 years, and even before that, they were a lot of our guinea pigs for all of our programs. So we would test a program on the Stone Glacier crew, and then they would go like into spring bear season and come back and tell us like how they felt, how are their legs doing, and then we'd tweak the program, redesign it, test it on them again until we got it just right, and then we ended up moving next door to them. And then when they moved to their new building, we're like, oh man, it's a bummer.
That
Free
was
testing
so
is
nice
gone.
to have it right there.
Yeah. So we decided to follow them. So we're building our new headquarters right next door to their new headquarters.
Awesome.
We're about a few months out from moving in, but it'll be our new. We always call our home base like it's a true R&D facility. So we're basically breaking down the science of the mountain and military athlete every day and deciding like what works, and because there's a lot of workouts that are hard, but we want to know like, did this actually help you on day 5 of your hunt or not, and if not, what can we do to make sure it does? And then once we're happy with that, it goes into the app so that everyone can do it.
Yeah, we're spoiled in that respect. We get to really test things out before we put it out. So it's been amazing.
So people are just coming
Feedback.
in there like, hey, test on me.
Right. And then after hunting season's over, we'll get to talk, like our guys that were training last year on their first elk hunt. And, speaking of some of our buddies going off elk hunting and killing an elk and asking them how they felt coming out with all that meat. And they're like, man, normally they get really tight in the hip flexors or their knee hurts or something. And they're just like, nothing, it just felt amazing. It was unreal. And they can compare that to the years in the past, so on how they felt. And so that's when we kind of know that we're really onto something good here with these hunters.
So from like an exercise background standpoint, you said Jimmy was kind of the guy for the Everest guys, but are you guys? You're both physical trainers. Like, what was your?
We both are, yeah. So we're both certified physical trainers through NASM.
Okay.
And then, but now it's mostly like taking what we learned in the past and tweaking it all to this mountain tough style.
For sure.
Yeah. A lot of research and figuring things out. It's been great.
Well, I just think that the pairing between the Weatherby customer that's either an active backcountry hunter or an aspiring backcountry hunter, I think we can set them up with a awesome ballistic package with a rifle and to find success out in the field, and then you guys can help them find more enjoyment inside of that success. And I just think that's really cool. Really cool team.
I think it's awesome.
So we've talked a lot about the physical stuff. You guys really harp on the mental part of toughness. Kind of walk us through. I feel like you guys have some like talks and podcasts and stuff on that too.
Yeah.
Give us kind of the mental breakdown, I guess.
Yeah, so the mental stuff is huge for Mountain Tough. And so when we founded the company, the other 2 gentlemen that joined the Mountain Tough team right when we started was Ara and Alex. And that was by design in terms of we knew these athletes needed to become more mentally tough. And Ara was a lieutenant colonel Army Ranger for 21 years. And then Alex was a Montana kid that was a Navy SEAL on SEAL Team 5 for 9. And luckily they both came back to Bozeman, and we were building this founding team. And so with me and Jimmy and R and Alex, it was all about the physical, but also the mental. And so the first thing we do with the mental, hands down, is incorporate it into each day in the workouts you're doing. And so that is going to be in the workout that you're doing without you really even knowing it. but we're teaching you a lot of things that are going to make you more mentally tough over time through consistency. So you saw it today actually in that workout, Tyler, where we had a hard workout and then we had a second hard workout that followed that. And it on paper, and even as we explained it, it looked like we'd probably do this big reset where you'd have some time to rest between workout number 1 and workout 2. But we kind of took that away from you.
Yeah, I got on the ground. He's like, okay, you're starting your 10 minutes now.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
Yeah,
Like
what?
for everybody else?
It's like my strategy was to get through the first part and then have a little bit of rest. And Jimmy's like, nope, Tyler, get up and start doing lunges. I'm like, okay.
And there's that mental part, right?
Oh,
there.
Yeah. So
you don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big part of mental toughness is like surprise endings is huge, because like if we give you a surprise ending, whether it's in a workout or in person like today, then all of a sudden that finish line just kind of moved, and now you have to decide like how you're going to react.
Am I going to still go after it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it starts teaching you like mentally, potentially like it could have been wise to pace yourself a little bit earlier on, knowing that you needed a little more in the tank to crush that second half, which applies so much to the backcountry too. It's like I need to be careful about what I'm doing here on day 3 to make sure like I'm still getting out of here on day 6. And so most of the mental toughness stuff we're incorporating into each day with like surprise twists and endings. We're doing that a ton in the coach programs now, where it's like the consumer thought it was over, but it's not quite over, because we need to teach them like that they're gonna perform no matter where the finish line is, and then once they get there, they're happy to be there. But it's been like a core DNA of Mountain Tough since day 1 is how do we take care of the Mountain Tough community physically, but then mentally, spiritually, emotionally, nutritionally, so that it's a holistic person. And they seem to really feed off of each other, like kind of like the pillars of a 4-legged stool. So if someone's like really strong physically but not strong mentally, they're usually going to break down in the backcountry when like a nasty storm blows in, or they're not seeing any animals like on the first couple days. So you start like talking yourself into being like, I'll just hike out, right? Yeah. So we want them really strong mentally, so that like when they haven't seen anything on day 2, they know they can push 1, 2, 3 ridges further back. And the most consistently successful backcountry hunters are the most mentally tough backcountry hunters, because they're not going to quit on that mission until that mission's over. And they're not going to let like the weather or stuff that's going on at home like stop them usually. And so that's what we're trying to build into these athletes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of like work on some of the stuff that you can control, and then have a mentally tough mind for some of the stuff you can't control.
Yeah.
So because you can control working out, but you can't control what's going to happen. Someone bumps a buck that you had bedded and you're going to first stock. Like you can't control that. But to like stay mentally tough on that, that's probably like, and if you're doing that every day through training, you're getting like added benefit and you don't even know it.
Yeah,
you don't even know it, and you're so prepared that way.
Yeah, and they feed off each other so closely. Like if a hunter comes out west and goes into the backcountry for the first time out of shape, that first day is so grueling physically that they're pulling a lot of their mental capital getting through that first day.
For sure.
And so
I've seen that a lot.
Yeah. So they're like pulling through that mental reserve because they're physically so exhausted on day 1. Where if they would have showed up physically, like that mental bank would have still been full. So they're like very intertwined on how they work together.
Even with like shooting and stuff, if you're in better shape, like mentally, you're not taxing your brain, so you dope it right, or you go through every step of like shooting too. So I could see it's like you almost get like decision fatigue sometimes when you're making so many decisions. But if you're and it's like the mental side is your brain is tired. So if you train your brain,
like terrible shots because they just didn't take the time because they couldn't to dial their scope properly, and they're just like, I don't know what I was thinking. I just wasn't.
It's like, yeah, I've trained I shoot out to 1,000 all the time. You hear that after, and I mean, I've been there. I've missed before on ones. It's like, how did I miss that? But could have been the component where it's like, well, if you would have had a more balanced pillars, you could have made the mental part of the hunt.
Yeah, we do that all the time. Like in our programs, we'll do something and then they will usually fail, and we'll be like, you got to think while you're tired. Like you got to start learning to think while you're tired. And usually like in a Mountain Tough live workout, that like a simple math question will get someone to fail while they're tired. So
yeah, I feel like I probably would have messed up a math question.
Thanks for not doing that test today. What's 2 plus 2?
In the middle of those 10-minute lunges, yeah. 4 plus 4, Tyler. What is it?
But that one's big. We do
16.
44.
But one of the workouts we do, it's like wait till they're tired, do a simple math question, and if they fail, there's a penalty for the full team. So someone will come off like an assault bike sprint. You'll ask them 11 times 11. They'll fail. The whole team will have 20 burpees. And so now the whole team's mad. They're mad. And now they're way more exhausted than they were going to be. But what we're trying to like teach that individual is that they knew the answer if they would have just stopped for 5 more seconds to process it, which is the same as exactly what happens on hunting. Like they took that shot.
Just got to send it.
Yeah. If they would have just taken that extra 5-10 seconds, like the whole day would have ended up being a different day.
Different day, yeah.
No doubt. Man, I think it's really cool that you guys are trying to wring out as much as possible about with the bodies that we've been blessed with. You know, it's like, I think our guns are pretty awesome. You know what's more awesome is the human body. Like, it's amazing what it's capable of. And just trying to wring out more for just anybody. Like, you're just everybody. I think we're all more capable than we think. I think it's pretty cool.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, the potential is insane. Crazy.
Nuts. So how can somebody get involved?
It's easy now and awesome in terms of we're available on all streaming platforms. So they can stream Mountain Tough on iPhone, Android, Apple TV. It's on Samsung, Amazon, Xbox. So anywhere you can stream anything now. You can jump into the Mountain Tough community and start doing one of these programs, whether you're at home or you want to go into a gym. And it's all on a monthly or annual subscription. And I would definitely recommend people, like if you want to train at home and feel incredible this year, I would definitely start with that foundation program. It's one of the coolest ones we've ever built for someone who just wants to get this journey started.
Right.
It's amazing, and it's so simple, like fully coached, 2 dumbbells, grab your cooler, and we'll be there right alongside you.
How long does that last? How many workouts is that?
That's 4 weeks.
Okay.
And then a big thing with that one too is it'll get you in and out of working out at home in about 30 minutes.
Perfect.
All the mobility is built in, so like all the prehab, rehab, stretching, warm-ups, cool-downs are all built into that program. So we're seeing people's low back pain go away. They're dropping a lot of weight, and then they're kind of ready for the next program.
And that's a good one to just get started, because I do think a lot of people we're getting to that time in the hunting season where hunting season already started some places. So you kind of think you're like, oh, it's too late now. No, you just need to start, right? And that's a good spot to start.
It is, and that's why
that's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, it'll build that foundation to move on. And I mean, if you're an absolute beginner on foundation, I mean, there's nothing wrong. Like you mentioned earlier, is doing it twice.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of see, like, wow, week 1 was not nearly as hard, the second time through.
Sure.
And so you can kind of build on that. So maybe do this 4-week program 2 times and get better at it and build up some confidence. And then you can kind of go into the program and pick some other programs to do. And we try to tailor to everybody, where if you love pack training, we have the pack. You love just one kettlebell, we have a kettlebell program. So we try to, fit everybody's needs there with offering a multiple wide range of workouts to do, whether it's the gym or at home, or even body weight.
Yeah, and to Tyler's point, I think it's really important that people just start whether they're going to do a Mountain Tough program or a different program or create their own program. Like the game changer of just starting is pretty revolutionary. I mean, all of a sudden people like just start crushing it at work. They're crushing it with their family. They're playing with their kids more. They're better with their kids. Like,
because they've got more fuel in the tank.
yeah, it's so much more.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much more about hunting. It's like they'll be a better human by just starting, and then that'll just compound into their hunts.
So we don't have to wait for like January 1st.
Don't wait for
Don't wait. Don't
Yeah.
wait to start.
just start. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, how do we have a special thing that
We do.
we
Yeah.
can talk
Yeah.
about? Like,
Yeah.
I think we should do that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a special Weatherby exclusive deal that's also accompanied by a giveaway, which is awesome. And so Mountain Tough, anyone who wants to start now can start with the code Weatherby. The cool thing about that is they will get 6 weeks to train on Mountain Tough Plus for free. And so all Mountain Tough customers come in on a 14-day trial, but we're going to do an additional 30 days.
Awesome.
So
Enough time to go through the
You can do a whole foundation
Yeah, do a
just to
whole
get started.
foundation.
one and a
Yeah,
half
right.
times.
Yeah.
Create a habit. Yeah.
Yeah, one and a
Right.
half times. Yeah, they'll feel amazing by the end of that.
Yeah.
And anyone who uses that code is entered into the giveaway, which is phenomenal. Tyler, do you want to talk more about the giveaway?
Yeah, I think we're going to give away a backcountry 2.0.
Yeah, a backcountry 2.0.
So we're going to give away that, and just to, help with your community, if you're already a Mountain Tough user, you're going to be able to, have a chance to win this too. So
That's
I
incredible.
think it's just as simple as signing up for our email subscriber list, and you'll be entered. So
Yeah,
Nice.
we're believers, and I think we have an awesome ballistic system with our rifles, and I think that we want to be a part of this because I think that people's overall experience will be better, last longer. Just like you said, you want the guy that's 40 to be doing this when he's 50, and the guy that's 50 is doing it when he's 60. For us, that means people are having more fun with our tools, and I think that you guys just have an awesome system. So we're really happy to partner. I just think it dovetails so well. So it's awesome.
And if you
I think
think
it's
you're
awesome.
ready in great shape, I think this is going to extend your season. So like something where if you have one big hunt, now maybe you're able to do 2 big hunts because you just feel much better and you're not putting so much into one hunt a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So get the app, sign up, use the code Weatherby.
Yep.
You're solid for 2 weeks plus 4.
2 plus 4. Yeah. You're good to go. You'll have a strong foundation.
Still
the habits
doing
will be
math
there.
problems.
Still doing that problem.
And if you're already a Mountain Tougher, then you just need to go to the
Yeah, we'll have
link
a
in
li-
the description.
Yeah, we'll have a landing page link in the description. So
Enter the giveaway.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much just for creating the program, for helping us, giving us some attention, both a couple weeks ago when we were up in Bozeman with you guys, and then now down here in Shared Ice.
Yeah,
It's been
Shared
pretty
Ice.
awesome.
Yeah. It's been amazing, guys. It's
Yeah.
been so fun.
It's pretty ironic to me that you guys are here now. I was telling the guys at lunch, I have a pretty funny Weatherby story.
Oh, let's hear that.
From my childhood. So my whole family's from Sheridan, Wyoming. So my dad and mom are from here. My dad came from a big family, so he was
Like grew up here.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so my dad had he's from a family of 7 boys, 2 girls, right on the edge of town towards Buffalo. They ran a quarter horse race ranch. So my grandpa raised quarter horses for racing, and it was all about like selling those bloodlines and the stallion fees and stuff like that. And he was a World War II vet from the Navy. He was on a ship, and he got here before he got into the horse thing. He started the Army Navy surplus store in downtown Sheridan, and then that turned into Bob's Western Wear, which that building's still downtown.
Okay.
But when I was a kid, he had in his house, he had a gun closet. And so we would be like 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old. And I had like, because it was a huge family, I had like 50 cousins. And we'd go there and we got to look at Grandpa's guns. And he had only like 6 guns. And 2 were these Teddy Roosevelt collector edition lever action 30-30s. octagon barrels. And one
Sounds
was
awesome.
long, one was short. And so we would always play with those. And they had like the Teddy Roosevelt coin stamped into the stock. And they were awesome. But he had a couple 22s, and then he got this Weatherby. And back then, it was a big deal.
It still is.
Dude, it was for us. It was a big deal, and so we'd be in there looking at the guns. And my uncle Tyler, I'll remember, he always be like, "Don't touch the Weatherby," and we like could play with the other guns, but like
you couldn't touch the Weatherby.
Grandpa's Weatherby for some reason. And it was like, it was so funny because there wasn't a ton of like custom options back then when I was a kid, and
Right.
for like my grandpa to get that was a huge deal. And like we couldn't even
That's
touch
awesome.
that, but we could touch the Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah,
collection.
that works. That's fine. Rub the
Yeah.
coin. It's good.
Yeah, it was so funny. And then now that you're in Sheridan, I think it's awesome because that was just right down the street.
Full circle.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, now you get to go have dinner with Mom tonight, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
It's awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, thanks again, you guys, for being here. And remember, use Weatherby for Mountain Tough. Sign
6
up.
weeks. Yeah.
I think that you'll be happy you did.